Hi everyone. We were discussing fundamental rights. Under fundamental rights, we were discussing Article 19, right to freedom of speech and expression was a part of Article 19(1). Freedom here, when we say right to freedom, in right to freedom, we have freedom of speech and expression that we have discussed in our last class. Here, freedom of press. In our constitution, we do not have a special provision regarding freedom of the press. Here, press may be electronic media, newspapers, journals, or any such content which is published, broadcast, or supplied in public. So, for freedom of press, we do not have any special provision in our constitution. When we say freedom of speech and expression, it itself is a larger concept which includes freedom of the press. So, the freedom of speech and expression is in itself an umbrella concept which includes freedom of the press. But here when we say Press Objectionable Matter Act 1951, there was an act actually which restricts the press for not publishing anything which is objectionable, that was decided by the parliament or by the legislature. So, after expiry of this act, Press Objectionable Matter Act 1951, after expiry of this act, Indian legislature or Parliament of India has brought a law, Prevention of Publication of Objectionable Matter Act 1976, that is, in the days of emergency, this act was enacted or this law was brought, that is, Prevention of Publication of Objectionable Matter Act 1976. Here we cannot say that the legislature or the parliament has used its power to curtail fundamental rights. One thing we need to understand that fundamental rights are not absolute. There can be a reasonable restriction or then there can be imposed certain limitations on these rights by the state. So, using that power or authority of the parliament, the government has passed this law, Prevention of Publication of Objectionable Matter Act 1976. So, by this we can say that the government may also use this power to curtail freedom of speech and expression. Here the freedom of speech and expression to let the people know what's happening in the government may be disrupted. After this, when Janata government has came, it has repealed this act or repealed this law, saying that it has encroached on freedom of speech and expression. Censorship is one such topic. Censorship is one such topic where the government uses its authority to limit or to place certain limitations on the freedom of the press. Here censorship may be on newspaper, maybe on any movie, or maybe on any content which is circulated in the public. So, here censorship is scrutiny. The scrutiny is done before publishing by a body of expert. They will look into the details of such content and only after they are satisfied that this content can be published or this content can be broadcast, they will give a certificate. So censorship is such a tool which is in the hands of government, where in some cases it could restrict or place limitations on freedom of speech and expression. This has been mentioned in many Supreme Court judgments. We had a case of Brij Bhushan versus State of Delhi. We also had a case Ramesh Thapar versus State of Madras, where the Supreme Court has said that the state could use its power of scrutiny, but it should be of reasonable restrictions. That is, it should not be against natural justice. That is, see, in censorship, the government wants a scrutiny of the content before they publish. So the Supreme Court's judgments has also formed a basis for reasonable restrictions. It has says that the government should follow certain principles of natural justice, not totally affecting the freedom of speech and expression. We can also say that in various countries like United States of America, like United Kingdom, where right to speech, freedom of speech and expression, liberty has been given utmost important. So the government do not generally involve in restricting the media or restricting the press in terms of normal conditions. When there are normal conditions, that is, when the country is not in emergency or when the country is not involved in war, in such normal conditions, the government cannot place restrictions on freedom of press. But in our country, in India, in normal conditions also, that is, when we do not have emergency or when our country is not at war, in such normal conditions also, the government could place restrictions on freedom of press. So here, because such a thing is there, that was the Supreme Court has given in Virendra versus State of Punjab. This was the case where Supreme Court has admitted that government could impose reasonable restrictions on freedom of press, where the content is causing harm to public order. It says that the government could restrict. So this has been a few cases, and after that, immediately, the government has amended the constitution and it has added the word public order in reasonable restrictions. So continuing with it, public order, when there is any content of any media, any newspaper which affects public order or which promotes hateism or which causes for communal clashes or chaos, so that there is misorder or law and order is affected, then the government could involve and place reasonable restrictions and could affect the freedom of speech and expression. So we have a power with the government that it could limit the freedom of speech and expression. We also know that right to information, what we have the Act RTI, it's a major enactment of this. So freedom of speech and expression also means that a common man or an individual has the right to know what's happening in the government. What are the government policies? how much the government has spent. The money the government has spent is actually used for such work. So every common man has a right to know what's happening in the government. So right to information is also such an enactment which has added more strength to freedom of speech and expression. So we can say that this freedom of speech and expression is the most basic element for overall development, of individual, overall development which contributes for the growth of the nation, which is against the parochialism of the people, or which also adds for a vibrant democracy, a flourishing democracy. So this is an important element in the entire fundamental rights, the right for freedom of expression, which gives a democracy a very true color. Continuing with this, the next is freedom of assembly. This is a part of right to freedom under Article 19, freedom of assembly. You know what is assembly? Assembly is meeting at some place, or where we have a meeting with a group of people. So holding public meetings, demonstrations, and taking out processions like rallies, like we can say sit outs, or to assemble just to express their views. So freedom of assembly is where a people with common goal meets at one place and they have few discussions which they will generally give a message to the government. This is a platform where one's grievance is explained, or where grievance is known to the government. But as we say, we have reasonable restrictions. Government can place, or the legislature can place certain restrictions on this freedom of assembly. That is, if the assembly disrupts the law and order, or if the assembly has a plan to disrupt the public order, then there could be placed restrictions on those freedom of assembly. So here freedom of assembly, if it is not causing any harm, until then it's okay. But if it is not valuing the public order, or not valuing the peace and harmony of the society, then such assembly could made illegal. So it has to protect violent. To protect violent, the government could place certain restrictions on this freedom of assembly. So it has to be more orderly. It has to be orderly. It should not be riotous, like there should not be any clashes, and the assembly should be without any weapon. So arms should not be allowed in the freedom of assembly. People should assemble without any arms. So here we can say that state can impose reasonable restrictions where there is a threat to sovereignty and integrity of the state, or where there is a threat to maintenance of public order, or there is a threat to the security of the state. So in this case, in freedom of assembly, the government could use its power of limiting the freedom of assembly by inciting the words of public order or maintenance of traffic in the area. So if there is a traffic problem, if the assembly causes traffic jam in certain cities or places, then the government may not give permission for those who decides to assemble at that particular place. So government may restrict the freedom of assembly if it causes disruption to the general life of the people, or if it causes a violent sort of nature, or the order is disturbed. So in this we can say that Section 141 of IPC. Section 141 IPC has given few things so that it could justify its restriction or reasonable restriction. Where, see, there are acts which are unlawful. When such acts becomes unlawful, they can be restricted. So, assembling of 5 or more persons, when we can say in under section 141 of IPC, the government will not give permission if it is assembly of more than 5 persons. So, that would cause, if that assembly causes, if any assembly causes problem or destroy of property of some persons, or a plan to behave in such a manner that destroys or commit any mischief, and if the act is illegal, if the act is illegal and if there is a threat to any government official, then under section 141 of IPC, the permission is not given to such assembly. So these are few restrictions on freedom of assembly. We can also say that under section 141 of Criminal Procedure Code, a magistrate can give orders, to restrict that assembly, to restrict that meeting of the people, so that if there is a threat to human life or public property or harmony in the society. So section 144 of CRPC, by using this section, a magistrate or a district collector also could issue such orders to not give permission for assembly of such persons, where we have a threat to human life, threat to public property, or threat to the peaceful existence of the society. So these are few restrictions on freedom of assembly. So that was 19(1)(b). 19(1)(a) was freedom of speech and expression. 19(1)(b) was freedom of assembly without arms. Now we have freedom of association. Forming a association or forming a union or creating a cooperative society are fundamental rights enshrined in our constitution. For growth of common individual, it would be always better that they form a union, so that they create a sense of unity among themselves. They could fight for their justice. They could also express their demands. So associations and unions are always a part of democracy, where one could have a collective bargaining, or one could form a pressure on the government to get their demands done. So Article 19(1)(c) is such an article which gives right to form associations, to form unions, or to form cooperative societies. On this fundamental right, that is on freedom of association, the government or the state can also give reasonable restrictions. The state can also restrict the formation of associations on some conditions. If the association is illegal, then the state may restrict to form such an association. So if the association is illegal, or if the association is not in the larger interest of the people, then the state could restrict such associations. Or if the association takes away the individual freedom, then also the state will restrict such associations to get formed. Or when there is a threat to public order, or when there is a threat to morality or sovereignty of nation or integrity of the state, then the state could use its power of reasonable restrictions and may not give permission for the formation of such associations. So we can also say that forming an association is good in democracy, but it should not violate certain basic things. Like formation of association doesn't mean that you got right to strike. So the right to strike is not a fundamental right. The government could prohibit such a assembly or such a association where it takes on the strike, or we cannot say that bandh, calling for a bandh is also not a fundamental right. So lockout, declaration of lockout is restricted by the state under this Industrial Dispute Act or Trade Unions Act. We have an act which specially says that lockout, going to strike is not accepted. So right to form association does not carry the right to recognition. Yes, you can form association for a specific problem, but it does not mean that you have a right to recognition. And we also already said that this does not mean that we have a right to carry strike. And we also say that right to form an association does not carry the right to inform rival union. So these are a few restrictions mentioned by the state or given by the state on freedom of association. Freedom of association should be legal, should be for a common cause, and should not be against the state or should not be generally against the interest of the larger section of the society. The next fundamental right under right to freedom is freedom of movement. Freedom of movement. Before this, we can say that we have done with right for free speech and expression. We have fundamental right, freedom of free speech and expression. We've done with freedom of assembly. We have done with freedom of association, forming unions and all. Now, the next freedom in Article 19 is freedom of movement. Here, freedom of movement is a common man or any citizen can move throughout the territory of India. He has all the rights to move or travel to entire India. Like he can move, he can travel through the territory of India. But when we say that, the state also says that there are certain limitations for that. For the movement also, there are certain limitations. When we have freedom to move in any part of the country, in any region of the country, because we say that the few people lives in few pockets of our territory. For example, when we say northeast India, we have a good amount of tribal population there whose culture are generally different from other parts of the India. When we say that in central India, we have a huge forest area where the population lives, their culture is quite different from the culture of other parts of India. We also have, tribes who lives in Andaman or surrounding areas where their culture, their habit is quite different. So here movement, freedom of movement is restricted by the state, because that movement, anybody's movement and encroaching in those territories could affect their cultural problems. We can also say that their distinctive culture could be disturbed because there is a movement or encroachment of people into their culture. So they may not easily accept that. So government has made that the state could restrict them or could put a reasonable restrictions not to enter in such areas, especially when we say that the general public, the interest of the general public is disrupted. There the state could restrict this fundamental right. Or when we say that the scheduled tribes people in agency areas or in deep villages, there the movement is restricted by the state. So when we say freedom of movement, yes, any citizen could move freely in entire territory of India, but the state can also at the same time restrict the movement in certain areas where the people has their distinctive culture, where the people has their unique identity that they could not generally ready to give up their culture. So the state can restrict the movement of those persons in these areas. Freedom of profession. It is again one of the freedom of profession is one of the right where a person or a citizen can have a right to profess anything or to do any job or to get into any business or to get into trade, because freedom of profession is a person can choose any profession for his livelihood, for their livelihood. But the restriction here is, when we say freedom of profession, few things or few eligibility conditions are there which the state could decide. For example, if there is a technical thing, there should be a technical knowledge or technical certificate that is suited to do the job. For example, to do a surgery, a person should have a certificate. He should be a surgeon to perform an operation. So it is not that easy that any person could do any job. So you should be certified by concerned agency. You are qualified for that particular job. Then only you are eligible to perform such functions. So the government could place reasonable restrictions, that is an eligible condition for doing such type of job. So here professional qualities are necessary to do a required work, or to carry on any business or trade. You should have certain qualifications. We can also say that in some areas the government has complete monopoly, and there individual cannot say that the government has restricted a citizen to enter into that area. Because the government is monopoly, the government can restrict few persons, and we cannot challenge the state so that it is monopoly and it is restricting the freedom of profession. So these are few restrictions where the state will impose certain limitations, right from qualification to eligibility conditions, so that the freedom of profession is not misused. And this also means that freedom of profession is where a person cannot get into such jobs which is illegal or which is not moral or which is not acceptable in the society, such as prostitution. Here it is not a profession, it is against morality of the society. So the government could restrict movement of such persons, or taking that as a profession, the government could restrict such things. And where the trafficking of women or children is involved, it is a profession which is not acceptable in the society. This profession or this way of doing business is not acceptable and it is illegal. So the government could place restriction on such activities which are not acceptable in the society, which is against the ethics and morality of the people. And other such activities where there is a supply of drugs or explosives, which generally is a threat to the integrity and unity of India, or there is a threat to public order or threat to peace and harmony of the society. Such acts can also be restricted by the state. You cannot just say that I was doing my business and Constitution has given me freedom to profess any activity. So here, which the things which causes harmful to the society, those things can be restricted by the state. So this was our right to freedom from Article 19. We have seen 6 rights under Article 19, and in next class we would be continuing with next topic. Thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe Telugu One Academy.